Hello everyone, I'm Brie, co-founder of Elda's Kitchen Cooking and Grilling Sauces. Today you won't see me using Elda's Kitchen Cooking and Grilling Sauces for the lamb I'm about to make, but I will be posting this on Life with Brie, so you can follow me there where you will see different recipes. But you guys, first let's take a look at this lamb rack here. This lamb rack is from Thomas Foods. It is a beautiful pasture-fed rack of lamb. Now, I don't know about you, but our Easter table always has a rack of lamb. Whether we barbecue it or we cook it inside, there is always a rack of lamb there. So real quick, Thomas Foods is a family-owned company that started in 1988. I love family-owned companies. As you know, it's my dad and I that co-founded Elda's Kitchen Cooking and Grilling Sauces. So to be able to show everyone other family companies makes me so happy. Thomas Foods is one of my favorite family-owned companies. Now, let's go ahead and get started on a beautiful herb crust that we are going to be putting on the lamb later on. I went to Paris last summer, and while I was there, I took a cooking class, and one of the things that we made was an herb crusted rack of lamb, and it was fantastic. So I am taking that recipe that I learned, and I'm gonna change a couple things because that's what I do. And we're gonna use that for this rack of lamb. So let's get started. To the food processor, we are going to add in 1 slice of French bread. If you don't have French bread, grab sandwich bread. A beautiful brioche would be lovely. Same with challah. Just, you know, some sort of bread. We happen to have a half loaf of French bread on our counter, so we're just using that today. So this is going in here, and we are going to go ahead and pulse it. Okay, our French bread is looking good in there. We're gonna add 1 clove of garlic, pulse that up. All right, now let's go ahead and add in some fresh basil. Our basil here comes in a huge package, and I haven't been able to start my fresh herb garden yet. So that is why we're buying it in the package. So there was a ton in there. I'm just gonna go through and pick off some leaves until I feel that I have enough in here. And you will know by the smell, because not only are we adding fresh basil, we are going to be adding fresh mint and fresh flat leaf Italian parsley. So just keep adding it in there. Be careful of your fingers. All right, now let's see how it looks. Okay, all right, you guys, our basil is in there. Once I took all the leaves out or off of it, it was about, let's see, about 1/3 of a cup packed basil leaves. And now let's add in some fresh mint. So the mint is about 1/4 of a cup packed. And if you are not a fan of that much mint, just don't put as much, put a little bit. If you really don't like fresh mint, don't put it at all. This is your dish, you're eating it, so you want to make sure this is something you enjoy. All right, you guys, and the next part is the fresh parsley, and this is by far, you know, there's nothing to it. Just take the parsley, shove it in there. Just to press it down. I do like to do small batches of the parsley, and that is only because, you know, we want it to really get in there and incorporate well. So now that you have your slice of French bread, your clove of garlic. Now that garlic, I didn't say it earlier, was a huge clove of garlic. So if you have teeny tiny cloves, add a couple of them in there. And then we put in our fresh basil, our fresh mint, and a half bunch of flat leaf or Italian parsley. and we just let it go. Now let's add in some binders and salt and pepper, of course. So I have some rosemary honey here, and I am just going to go ahead and put in a bit of that. There we are. And I have 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That's going in there. And let's go ahead and mix this, or just pulse it real quick. Okay, and now let's go ahead and add in salt and pepper. Be generous. There we are. And I am going to put some cracked black pepper in there. It's coming out. Ever since I was little, I've just loved using fresh cracked black pepper. Everyone's like, oh, you should get the ones that has the push button. I'm like, well, I kind of like this. Maybe it's from growing up and the waiter coming over when you are served your salad with the big pepper grinder and like this, and do you want pepper? So anyways, that's it. It's pepper. It's not that exciting, but it's exciting. All right, let's get this going. All right, that is it. So let me go grab some parchment paper and a baking sheet, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we have our herb crust mixture, and I have a 1/4 sheet baking pan with parchment over it, because this needs to go in the freezer to harden up a bit. It's gonna make it much easier to work with. All right. Okay, getting all of that out of there. And this is enough for 1 rack of lamb. You will have a little over, but you know, we'll deal with that when it comes. Okay, grabbed another spatula here. And the easiest way to do this, because it can get a little messy, you don't want to get your hands in there because you don't want it all to get stuck to your hands, is to take the parchment and fold it over. Now I do have a rolling pin next to me, and sometimes I will go ahead and use that, but sometimes I just like to go like this. Just flatten it out. You want it to be about a 1/4 inch thick. So it's gonna be fairly thin, but it is beautiful for a rack of lamb. So, you know, just eyeball it. That there is gonna be perfect. It's gonna be over for that rack of lamb that I have here. See, I can kind of eyeball it and measure it. And so I can see that this is perfect for that. This is gonna go in the freezer for, you know, maybe like a half an hour to an hour. You just want it to harden up so it's easier to work with. Okay, so while that is in the freezer doing its thing, we are going to season up the lamb. So first I'm gonna start with some salt. This is a very, very fine sea salt that I have here. Just love it. But you can use a coarser sea salt. You can use just regular table salt. Totally fine. And let's go ahead and season up with pepper. And then while the herb crust is in the freezer, I am going to put the lamb in the fridge for a bit, uncovered, just so that the salt and pepper can really get in there. Now we're gonna flip it over and we're gonna season the other side as well. All right, so now we're gonna season up this side, and we're gonna go back through and just really rub it in, rub in the salt and pepper on both sides, just to make sure that every bit of this lamb gets some love. All right, so just go in there, kind of rub it in, rub it around, make sure that it's evenly coated is what we're looking for here. Flip it over, do this side. All right. Okay, you guys, this lamb is gonna go in the fridge while the herb crust is getting a little bit more rigid, a little bit solid, so that we can put it on the lamb when it's ready to go on. I'll see you back here in about 30 minutes. To do this, so we're gonna put just a little bit of oil in the pan. This is olive oil. And we're gonna go ahead and heat this pan up. All right, you guys, medium to medium high. So let's go ahead and let that pan heat. Okay, so while the pan was getting nice and hot, I have let the lamb rest on the counter just to bring it to temperature. Let's get the lamb in the pan. All right. You can kind of hear the sizzle of the lamb. So we just want that beautiful golden color. All right, you guys, it is really starting to smell like Nani's kitchen in here. This lamb, I believe, is ready to turn. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, you guys, look at how beautiful, and I'm holding it this way so that you can really see that nice golden color. And we're just gonna let it sit and, get all nice on the bottom. Lamb is hard, so actually, when you're doing this, because, you're trying to brown it up as much as possible, don't really worry, because as it's cooking in here, you'll have your oven heated up to 375 degrees. And then the lamb is gonna go in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. And that will help develop more color. And it's like once it starts to get color, it just goes quickly. And this is always my favorite part, even when cooking steaks, is getting the two ends. And I feel like I have to stand here and hold this. Sometimes I can get the meat to just kind of balance. All right, you guys, it is browned on all sides. Go ahead and turn off the heat here. I have a foil-lined baking sheet that I'm gonna put this on. Boom. Okay, in your oven. Roughly about 25 minutes, 375. I'll see you in about 25 minutes. The lamb looks beautiful in the oven at 375 degrees for about 25 minutes. Now we're gonna get ready to put the herb crust on it and then put it under the broiler. So this herb crust can be tricky. You want to work fast because it comes back up to temperature very, very easily. Okay, you guys, we are gonna work super fast. So if it does break apart, that is totally okay, because you can just piece it back together, because it is, I'm in Texas, you guys, it is hot here. Okay, so things are not staying together as well as I'd hoped. So let's go ahead and grab. We grabbed our spatula and we're just gonna make it work. And this is the best part, is that you just make things work. I don't have a blast chiller here. I wish I did. It is on my Christmas list. But for now we just use our freezer. And that's totally fine. So here's a lesson. If you're going to do this herb crust, hey, maybe do it the night before. And there you go. Any leftover, toss it. So you're gonna wanna put the lamb back in the oven under a high broiler for about, start watching it at about 3 minutes. You just want it to brown. You'll know it's bubbling. And I'll be back at you to show you what it's supposed to look like when it's all done. All right, you guys, the lamb is done with the beautiful herbed crust on it. And that is what it looks like. So before slicing this, we are going to let it sit for about 7 to 10 minutes. All right, you guys, here we are, the final product, herb crusted rack of lamb. We like to squeeze lemon on the lamb right before enjoying it. If you are looking for a wonderful lamb, look at Thomas Foods. Their lamb is the best I've had in a very, very long time. If you make this recipe, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope your guests enjoy it. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.